My name's Don Cockerill. I'm a pilot in the Port of London, and I'm working representation for the International Maritime Pilots Association within PIANC Working Group 178 and other working groups as well. IMPA's interest and involvement with the working group and the Think Climate Coalition is really revolves around the fact that, notwithstanding why it's happening, there's definitely one accepts that climate change is a factor of life. And of course, anything that affects the weather and/or currents and tides and sea levels and such like is of immense importance to pilots in their daily duties. Well, of course, the net results of climate change generally are increased power of winds, wind strengths. The length of time that storms will carry on and periods of strong winds appears to be increasing as well. So that has obvious impact on manoeuvring, particularly large ships with high windage areas, within what are becoming fairly confined spaces as ports seek to get bigger and bigger ships into smaller areas. Or indeed to existing areas, one might say. And of course, the knock-on effects on tidal currents are coincidental with that as well. So we end up manoeuvring deeper ships, large deep ships, in areas with strong tidal currents, which presents equivalent challenges for pilots. The ships only have a certain amount of power to work with, and the tugs that we use only have a certain amount of power. And so as the climatological conditions deteriorate, that in itself presents significant challenges for maintaining control of the ships. Obviously, there needs to be greater emphasis placed on upper wind limits for criteria for the wind speeds that large ships can be manoeuvred in. And the same will go for tidal currents and rivers as well, strength of river flows. But there may be certain states of the tide, whereas at the moment ships might be able to be manoeuvred at all states of the tide, regardless of its strength in a particular port. As the tidal currents increase with tidal flows, it may well be that windows have to be more defined, which will restrict potentially the periods of time over the tidal cycle that the ships can be manoeuvred. There's also a need perhaps to look at different techniques, a change in techniques as to how the ships are manoeuvred in particular port areas. It may be that swinging areas have to be changed so they're not so exposed perhaps. And certainly the use of tugs and thrusters and the best use of them is something which will need to be looked into as well. When it comes to advice for other pilots generally, it's a case that pilots need to be aware that climate change is going to affect the way they work in the years to come. Regardless of what the causes of climate change are, they are a reality of daily life, and they can't be ignored. We're going to have effects. We've spoken about the wind and we've spoken about tide. There's an issue of visibility as well, because with storms comes heavy rain or snow even, or sandstorms in drier parts of the world, fog, and mist, and these are all effects that are caused from climate change. There's something. The climate change itself is something which pilots cannot afford to ignore.